Guitar tips, just the tips, just for you. Guitar tips. Hello and welcome to Guitar Tips. My name is Adam Levy. Guitar Tips is my weekly video blog series. I post a new tip here each and every Friday. And, well, that's what's going on. Welcome. This is guitar tip number 94. And it is a continuation of last week's tip. Tip number 93 was, let's demystify diminished chords. And I'm going to call this tip, let's demystify diminished chords some more. It may be a bit of a tongue twister, but that's what I want to talk about today. If you haven't watched the previous tip, I would encourage you to. There's a lot of information there, and I want to not repeat it here so I can talk about some new things. But one thing I will cover is we talked about 3 kind of easy grips for diminished chords. So if you're playing E diminished 7, you can play that this way. I'm at frets 2, 3, 2, 3. That's E, B flat, C sharp, and G. And there's another grip here on the middle 4 strings with the root on the C sharp or D flat if you like. Same 4 notes, C sharp, G, B flat, E. And there's another grip, a little trickier, B flat, G, C sharp, E. Fret numbers are 6, and we skip the 5th string, and then 5, 6, 5. So those are kind of the grips. But an interesting thing that we didn't really get into last week is the connection between diminished chords and dominant chords, and how they are two sides of the same coin. So here is again E diminished 7th with the E on the bottom and G on the top. If you notice, this shape is quite closely related to a dominant chord shape. For example, you could play F sharp 7th, that's E, A sharp, C sharp, F sharp. So it's just one note difference. So you could look at this diminished 7th chord as an F sharp 7th with a flat 9 on top. And I found this dominant chord by just moving one note down a half step, the top note down, and I found this dominant chord there. And what's interesting is that if you move any notes in this grip a half step down, so now I'm going to move the note on the B string down, and lo and behold, that's a C7 chord, E, B flat, C, G. Second inversion C7 chord. We'll go back to, and this diminished 7th chord puts the flat 9 on it. So E diminished 7th is closely related to C7 flat 9. Now we're going to move this 3rd string note down, and you get this, which you may recognize as A7, E, A, C sharp, and G. So that's a second inversion A7 chord. And again, if you go back to the E diminished 7th, the note what we put back is the flat 9. So E diminished 7th has a close relationship to A7 and A7 flat 9. And finally, we'll move this last note down a half step. We'll move E down to E flat. Ooh, the guitar is just I don't know if you can hear that, but it's neat. If I play this note, the low E string, I'm not plucking it, but it just gets activated sympathetically, and then when I move down down to E flat, I've still got the some of the harmonics ringing on the low E string, and they're really fighting against this E flat. I don't know if it's coming across in the recording here, but it's a spooky feeling here. Anyway, so this is E flat dominant 7th, and as you can see, it's closely related to E diminished 7th. So I could repeat the same thing for all of these. So this grip here, I'll try and move through this a little more quickly. Our grip, diminished grip on the middle strings is related to this C7, this F sharp 7, that's A7, and that's E flat 7. And if we go to this voicing here, we move down one note at a time. I'll go from the bass to the treble here. So that's A7. No, what did I do wrong there? I didn't start with the diminished chord. That's what I did wrong. Okay. So that's F sharp dominant 7 with the 3rd on the bottom. We can call that first inversion. A sharp, F sharp, C sharp, E. If I move this C sharp down, I get a C7 with the B flat in the bass. B flat, G, E, C. So a 3rd inversion C7 chord. And if I move this E down to E flat, I get E flat 7 with the 5th in the bass. That's a 2nd inversion chord. So all that stuff is just right next door to any diminished chord. And so how that can be helpful is if you remember from the tip, or if you go and watch it now, you'll see I talk about this scale that we can make out of the diminished chord. So we start with just the arpeggio, and we add notes a whole step above each of these chord tones in the arpeggio. So above E we add F sharp, and then G, A, B flat, C, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G, and we can go up to A here too. So we start with just the diminished arpeggio, and we add these other notes that you can look at as being a whole step above each of the chord tones, or a half step below each of the chord tones in the diminished, however that makes more sense to you. Again, E diminished 7th scale, E, F sharp, G, A, B flat, C, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G, A. And we're going to also be able to use that scale with all of these dominant chords. So that's what this week's tip is about. So over an A7 chord, we could use some notes from this scale to get some really interesting colors. It's got, well, that's the root, that's the 7, the flat 7, the 6 or 13, so we could have an A dominant chord with a 13 on top. But as we keep going down, we're going to get into some real colors here. So the D sharp is the sharp 11, so you can make an A7 chord, sharp 11, 13, but then we've also got sharp 9, so that's a pretty dark sound, flat 9, and then the root again. So anytime you have a combination of like 13, flat 9, A7, 13, flat 9, that's the scale that we're going to draw from. It could be sharp 9 and 13 as well, I suppose. It's a unusual voicing, but that's there. Let me see if I can do that another way. Yeah, I'm playing an open A, G, C, C sharp, F sharp. That's with the sharp 9. I could do flat 9. Now I'm playing the B flat here. It's neat, you can see there's a F sharp triad here. So that's A7 flat 9 with a natural 13. And just in the same way that we looked at how last week all of these shapes repeat every 3 frets, if you find something like this, A13 flat 9, you could move that up 3 frets. You're not going to have the exact same thing, but it will still be related to the scale. So now I'm playing B flat, C sharp, E, A7 flat 9. If I go up 3 more frets, I've got C sharp, E, G, C. So that's A7 sharp 9. And I'm going to run out of neck here, but just see if you can hear that. So I'm playing A, E, G, B flat, E flat. So that's A7 flat 9, flat 5, or sharp 11, as you like. And there's a lot of variations that you could make that fit. A neat thing about these kind of dominant diminished things is that because of the tuning of the guitar, with a 6th here and a 6th here, you can get a lot of stuff within one 4-fret span, and you have 4 fingers, so that's very convenient. You could grab, this is one. I'm playing G, B flat, E flat, F sharp, or E flat, G flat. That's a shape that you could move around in 3-fret intervals. What else? Here's one I'm playing that looks like this F sharp 7. I'm going to put A on top. So there's a real obvious symmetry as you come down. It's fingering wise now. It's just 4, 2, 1, 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 3, 1. So you could even just play around with that and see what you come up with. I'm just thinking shape-wise here. I could do that here or here. I'm just grabbing pairs, 2nd and 4th string at 2nd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, and then 1st and 3rd string at 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 5th fret. And that can move around. Another shape that people seem to like out of this scale looks like this. It's just a F sharp triad here at 6th fret with G on the bottom. We can move that around in 3-fret intervals. And now I'm just moving the top note, B flat to A, G to F sharp, C sharp to C. And as I do that, it brings up another interesting aspect of this kind of harmony, which is that within this scale, there are 4 major and 4 minor triads that can be made from this scale. So follow me if you're not completely lost already. I hope you're not. We could make, using with that scale, we can make an A major triad. We can make A minor. We can make C major, C minor, E flat major, E flat minor, and did I get all of them? A major, A minor, C major, C minor, E E flat major, E flat minor, oh yeah, F sharp major, and F sharp minor. All of those could be seen as part of this scale, and as such you can use them as the upper parts of altered chords. So over A7 I could put an E flat over the top, and that's part of the scale. I could put an E flat minor. At that point it doesn't sound so much like an A7 chord anymore, because we've kind of lost all of the A7 information. If you play E flat minor, you're playing E flat, G flat, B flat, which could turn out to be the flat 5, 13 if you call it F sharp, and flat 9. So there's almost no identifiers here for A7. So that's why I'm going to play this and then play the E flat minor on top. You could try the F sharp on top, the F sharp minor. That's a nice sound. You could try the C on top, that gives us kind of an A7 sharp 9. C minor gives us sharp 9 flat 5. So depending on which triad you use and which where you play that triad, you will have more A7 information or less A7 information. It can get pretty abstract and possibly modern sounding depending on where your head is at musically. I still think it's a modern sound, although people have been messing around with this kind of harmony for over 100 years. What's the takeaway from this? The takeaway is that I want you to understand the connection between diminished harmony and dominant chord harmony, and how they can be really two different sides of the same coin when you start getting into it from the point of view of this scale. So when you play that over A, it's some kind of A7, and you could play it over F sharp and you'd have the same stuff. You could play it over C. You could play it over E flat 7. Right? In the same way that the diminished chords move up 3 frets, we've got dominant chords that move up 3 frets that are all related to the same scale. C7, E flat 7, F sharp 7, and A7. They're all those are all related. Really, there's no way to figure this stuff out without some experimentation. Some weeks I have a worksheet to share with you. This week I don't. But just pick up the guitar and mess around with these sounds and see if you can find a way to incorporate them. Of course, this is mostly going to be helpful in jazz. If you're trying to write, a simple 3-chord pop song, this is probably not going to work at all. But if you're interested in jazz, this, you could take it like in a way like this, like over a 2-5-1 in C, D minor. Here's D minor 9. Here's G13 and C major 9. That's my 2-5-1. So over that G7, I could put the flat 9 in the bass. Now I'm playing 13, natural 13, and flat 9. That's the sound. So one more time. D minor 7 again. G13 flat 9. C major 7. D minor 7. that's a neat move. So I'm thinking about like an E triad over the G7, E triad with an F. So that makes it a G7, 13 flat 9, and then I just add this whole step decorative thing that gives us sharp 9, flat 9, down 3 frets, root flat 7, down 3 frets, 13, 5, and that's all over G7. D minor 7, G13 flat 9, C. So try and incorporate it into some of your 2/5s. Incorporate chordal sounds, incorporate scalar sounds. Try and make it as musical as you can. Think about melody more than just harmony by rote. Okay, that's the tip this week. Let's demystify diminished chords some more. Guitar tip number 94, Adam Levy. Thanks to Martin Guitar Strings. I don't have Martin Guitar Strings on this guitar. This is my nylon string. I forget what strings are on here. But on all my steel string guitars, I really do love the Martin Retro series. I use a light gauge and they sound great. They last long. They look cool. And I would recommend that you check them out. Okay, Adam Levy here. Guitar tips. Stay tuned and take good care.